We all know about Saitama, One Punch Man himself, but there's other powerful beings in this universe as well, other than him. Maybe not as strong as him, but still strong. Like, seriously, the way this One Punch Man universe works, it's a little weird. Like, humans can become monsters. Humans can achieve ridiculous, insane strength with training, scientific enhancements. There's a lot of ways you can get strong in this universe. Even you can get strong in wonky ways, like how this being looks like Piccolo, and he's literally spawned from the continuous pollution of Earth. He is a vaccine man, made and was born to wipe out humans and every civilization from the face of the Earth. He's the wrath of Mother Nature incarnate. He became a monster because of that. So you already know the universe in general is just wonky. When you got beings that become crab-like because they ate so many crabs, so they went through a metamorphosis that made him undergo this transformation. Yeah, this is a wonky universe. So naturally, there's a lot of different superhuman entities on the planet or even off planet. People that don't turn into monsters end up becoming heroes, like in this hero organization, for example. Like the hero organization is made up of classes. This is not everybody in every class, but you get the premise. S class being at the highest of the food chain, being exceptionally mighty beings. A class, B class. In general, not counting Saitama, this is generally a good way to consider who's stronger than who when it comes to their raw power output, for the most part, destructive capacity. Even confirmed here when it comes to her rank, she's a class S at the top of the food chain, pretty freaking high up. It's confirmed here that she's an S rank. Her S rank is proven when other S ranks like Genos, the super cyborg that we love, she plants him against the wall like this. They even go as far as saying her might creates overwhelming destructive force. Her attacks shake the earth and threatens the sky. A supreme power that can shake the very earth itself. Tatsumaki's who I'm analyzing. There's even a ranking for the monsters or threat levels in this universe. You got God at the very top, dragon, and there's a threat for multiple cities, demon, stuff like that. I personally would say anything at this tier or higher is ridiculously impressive. In these ranks, you got different fan favorites. And that would be Tatsumaki. She has a sister that has similar powers as her. She's one of them humans that's ridiculously insane, that has psionic abilities. She's in the Hero Association. She's number 2 in the entire Hero Association, so she's pretty high up there on the food chain. But let's analyze Tatsumaki, shall we? She kind of reminds me of the Jean Grey of the universe, not counting the Phoenix Cosmic Entity Force, you know what I mean? Tatsumaki kind of reminds me of her. They call her the strongest when it comes to psionic type stuff. There's other telekinetic beings in this universe that straight up say when it comes to telekinetic output, they're at a disadvantage against Tatsumaki when it comes to her power. Even she admits it, yeah, you're not on her level. Tatsumaki's cocky. Even though her sister looks more mature than her and is also a psionic being or strong telekinetic being, Tatsumaki's above her in raw telekinetic raw power. She's not afraid to be cocky and call other heroes weak. So she can be quite rude. But among other things, she did meet Blast, the #1 hero in the Hero Association, which inspired her to fight for her family and things of that such. But let's get into how strong she is. Naturally, she's not strong in the conventional sense, like her muscles isn't the craziest thing ever. But does her muscles even need to be crazy when you can lift up stuff with your mind? You can kind of ignore your muscle strength when you can lift up stuff without touching stuff. Psionic, telekinetic stuff, right? Like you got occasions like this where you see her physically can't really get out of somebody's grip that otherwise she would be able to if she used her blast. One could say she can use her telekinesis on herself and allowing herself to fly with the planes and stuff. Or float, one could say. Not only float, but fly at high velocities. Usually beings that can lift up stuff with their mind, they can go in your head and talk to you without necessarily being near you, like telepathy type stuff she can do. They call her the Tornado of Terror, so she does use her psionic stuff in ways of tornadoes or twisters from time to time. In one of her most epic battles, she decides to use a decoy to what is being thought she blasted Tatsumaki, but it never was her in the first place. It was a trick. Stuff like this can help her get the advantage over certain opponents if they're real big, catch them off guard, go inside their body, especially if they're a big target or something. In this particular occasion, for example, she camouflaged herself as a part of the energy absorbed, flying through the roots of her body. She had invaded her body. Usually psionic beings have good senses because, you know, they can literally go in your head and sense what's going on. Like, for example, she's very protective of her sister and she sensed that her sister took damage and she's very protective. She don't like when her sister gets hurt, so she can sense even if she's not present. One of the top tier beings in the Monster Association, yeah, there's a Heroes Association and a Monsters Association. Yeah, good versus bad. You see what they did there? There's this being that's pretty high on the hierarchy of the Monster Association. She was able to sense a being that I'm going to show later on in this video of Tatsumaki battling and comparing her power to her and stuff, but I'm not doing that right here. I'm just talking about how she can sense her and found her with her senses. She was able to find her even though she was 1,500 meters underground. It shows they calls her the best psionic being in this universe for a reason. Even though this being's a psionic being too, she couldn't believe that she can do this just naturally, discovering her location. She can do some force choke, telekinetic bind you type stuff to where you can't hardly move, to where you can't move a finger, she can lift up stuff from far away, but she can also use this for defense, like making a psychic barrier around herself. One can say giving herself durability with a shield. Her shield can even protect herself against gravity that's over 300 times normal. She looking like that ain't nothing. Y'all remember when her body got twisted up, right? By another Psionic type being? She said, I'm fixed. Like, I don't like healing, you know. She can use her ability in creative ways. She can just trap you in a psychic bubble, but also use debris if she wants to seal you up, like sealing you up in all this debris, like a concrete debris sphere, basically. She's so mighty. Multitasking is no issue. She can manipulate this being with her psionic ability and manipulate this large chunk of concrete all at the same time with ease. Look at her facial expression. Her power comes in handy for mobilizing groups against the wall where they can't move. Just look when she blasts, look how it does to the wall. Even though she doesn't specialize in her muscle strength, she can use her psionic ability to put her telekinetic ability in her finger to be able to strike real hard, to be able to flick with ridiculous force, to cave in concrete basically. Or she could just simply move cars out of the way. She got the blast power to easily blow away clothes, stopping shurikens mid-flight is easy to her, and send them back. Even as a kid, her psionic ability was so crazy she can incinerate you even as a kid. This town-sized ship that produced like a whole bunch of bombardment of blasts that can level an entire city, basically. Yeah, this guy's ship, Tatsumaki's blast, can stop something that's mighty enough to shatter an entire city. Like all this bombardment she can stop with her psionic abilities. I mean, she stopped all of that at once, too. At once, from a wide radius. Boros' ship was about dang near the size of a city or multiple towns, shooting those bullets with massive weights back at the ship with enough force, and this seems to be with ease. This type of stuff is reiterated in her lore about how she destroys the thick concrete outer wall, makes a huge hole. States here, the debris that was blown up is shot at the fortress floating in the sky. The massive cannonball turned rock lumps caused massive damage to the spaceship, causing massive damage to Boros' ship. It's pretty much proven she can lift over hundreds of thousands of tons. Look how they talk about cars, buildings with an S, multiple buildings she can lift up, stuff that weighs an incredibly lot of weight she can move. Are you really shocked she can lift up multiple buildings or buildings with an S with her power? I haven't even gotten to her greatest feat yet. It's already proven in the lore she can easily lift over hundreds of thousands of tons, fly through building-sized beings as skulls. There was this disaster level, dragon level threat thing. You guys already know how dragon level stuff is a threat to the multiple cities, right? They even straight up said the eastern portion of the H city is almost completely level, and Tatsumaki just blitzes through it, one-shotting it with relative ease, as collateral for trying to hurt Saitama. When it comes to the building destruction, that's something she can definitely do, because she can actually shake buildings. They even said the building is collapsing here, and she can still do all this destruction. Fly through Heroes Association ceiling with her raw power output, and destroy a few buildings. Seems to be just another day in the life for her. So not only lifting up buildings, she can blow them away too. Not only did she mess up this gang, but messed up their hideout. You can see the background of it being destroyed. This super octopus that's bigger than some buildings, she can pull with enough power, even though it's trying to resist. She can lift it up with ease. This does not look like high difficulty at all, and shows her destructive ability output to even damage it like this with her raw power shielding at the same time. It's being squashed, and she let it fall down like this, just squishing it. So if she can do stuff like that, when you see her do stuff like lifting up concrete, it shouldn't really be a shock to you. Blast power to split the floor open in the HQ, Heroes Association HQ, she split open like this and closed it. Doing one of her tougher battles against super powerful beings that are at least demon rank, she can lift up big stuff, like things that are at least bare minimum mountain size. She can lift all of this up, something that makes buildings look like shrimps, basically. That's how much weight she can produce. Can lift up mountains, I'm showing it in color. That's a lot of weight she can lift. They explain it like this, splitting the area and lifting the entire base. When she was fighting this super powerful being that was messing up the planet, there was this big old tsunami, a lot of water, that was going to flood everybody, but Tatsumaki had the power to lift up all this BS with her telekinetic ability, lifting up all this so the water can fall through. This doesn't seem to be that difficult, might I add. Let's get into some of the more crazier stuff. She was literally compared to a nuclear bomb. They straight up say, what's her name? Tatsumaki, the character I'm going over in this video. They say this is even comparable to a nuclear weapon. When they're talking about stuff, they straight up talk about, oh, wait a minute. What if I just destroyed the whole place, the whole city? She implies she could just destroy it or delete. Implying with her blast power destructive capacity, she could delete an entire city like a nuclear bomb if she wished. There's nothing really contradicting this statement considering what we've seen her do. Heck, if anything, city might be an oversimplification. One could say she can blow away more than just a city, things as large as cities. She doesn't always go all out, but when she's told to go all out, she can lift up big BS like this and attack you with it. Stuff that weighs hundreds or even thousands of tons. She can hurl it at you like meteors, basically, and even make a tornado, psionic tornado, I guess. You got occasions like this where she makes huge canyons trying to hurt Saitama, causing all this destruction, proving that she could level a city if she really wanted to. Because the Hero Association #1 S-Class rank isn't hardly ever around, she's the association's final weapon when it comes to big threats. Matter of fact, when they're measuring the energy output she's producing, they say that the meter itself broke to show her power. Her being able to blow away a city makes sense because, I mean, after all, she was able to make a barrier the size of a city, so that makes sense. A barrier of ridiculous size, so it's confirmed she could blast the city away, or even make a shield that can get so big it can encompass the entire city, pretty much proving, yes, she is a walking nuclear bomb. While it is true, nobody's comparable to Saitama, she's pretty high up there if we exclude Saitama from the power hierarchy. In my personal opinion, one of her best ways to understand her might is when you actually see her go all out against this other being from the Monster Association that's pretty high up on the food chain, who's another psionic type being. I've shown little glimpses of her throughout this video, but a lot of the higher end feats for Tatsumaki is the occasions of her fighting this ridiculously powerful monster from the Monster Association. They even title it Psychokinetic Clash, letting you know that these two beings are two psionic beings that Tatsumaki has to face. For one, that's something I want to mention. Like, I've already proven that she can blow away a city, right? But when you look at the threat levels in narrative, they talk about how a dragon level threat is a threat to multiple cities. This is important because we already know she can blow away multiple cities. This kind of adds up with her threat level she has to face. This being, that's a dragon level threat, disaster level, disaster rank of dragon, for example. This psionic being that I'm about to show you her fight a lot, that has a disaster rank of dragon or above, is already a threat on her own, but she basically goes through 2 different modes. Or one could say 3 different modes. You got basically her first appearance where she's hiding in the background where she makes an avatar fight them, who was definitely no match for Tatsumaki. You got her true form when they revealed her disaster rank being dragon. Then she fuses with another dragon rank being known as Orochi, but I'm not going to get into this yet. She goes through different stages, basically. Even though I ain't going over it quite at this second, this is basically a fusion of this being and her, 2 dragon level threats coming together. There's moments where Tatsumaki located her and dragged her up to let you know how strong she is, even though she's a dragon level threat. The 2 clash in a psionic clash. This kind of backs up Tatsumaki being able to say she can level a city. This kind of backs it up because this being is a threat to multiple cities and she can clash with her. In this occasion, she blasts Tatsumaki and she's able to deflect it. With her shielding, you see the collateral of their blast that Tatsumaki can deflect and even damage her, get the upper hand over this dragon level threat. So yeah, Tatsumaki kind of overpowered her really bad on their real first encounter. The funny part is that she's handling her and she was apparently holding back. Stated here, she was holding back. This monster entity had to find a way to amplify herself, stated here, so she can win against this woman. Tatsumaki lifts something up that's so freaking big and uses it as a weapon. Like, look at the size of it. To give it an idea of how big it is, look at how buildings look compared to this crater. This thing is thick that she's lifting up. It's got to be the size of multiple cities, or 5, 6, 7, or 8 cities when it comes to how dense it is. And she can simply lift this crap up with her strength, telekinetic strength, to use it as a weapon. Or one could say as a drill. Yeah, this junk might be able to level a country or a small country. If we're being honest, like, look at the size of it. It's ridiculousness. Oh, my bad. I mentioned this 2 seconds ago, but yeah, she eventually ends up fusing with another dragon level being to where Tatsumaki has to fight them both, basically. 2 beings put together that can level multiple cities. Remember that the being she's fused with has enough raw power to manipulate the energy in Earth's core, drag it up to the planet, and all that crazy stuff. Now, this is where we kind of, you see a little bit of her limits, or you actually see Tatsumaki kind of struggle. Because her dragon level, disaster level in her base state wasn't enough for Tatsumaki, so she fused and got way more powerful. Even stated here, Orochi, when did you possess such power? To where for a little while, Tatsumaki was actually trapped. To get an idea of how strong Tatsumaki is, this opponent she's battling has enough raw blast power in this new state to basically blow or split away continents with her blast. Like, she split a big chunk of the earth, a big chunk of the earth's crust, to where this is how it looks in outer space. All of this mess she sliced to where it was actually off the ground, a big chunk of the earth. Like, you can legit see it off the ground, and then it splashes, and yeah, fighting a being that has the raw blast power to blast away or split a continent, basically. just to give you a big scope on what she's really facing. She has a power that to absorb all living entities through her flesh, roots, and stuff. That's why she was able to get so mighty. She was even wondering if she could become planet Earth itself, the being that Tatsumaki was facing. Tatsumaki clashing with this being was so crazy that when they was fighting, there was so much going on that there was folks literally talking about, wow, it's like the end of the world. That's how crazy their fight was. Just from her clashing with her like this and the fact that they're battling each other slugfest style, this pretty much proves that Tatsumaki can not only level a city, but if she really tries to, she can even take out a continent or a big chunk of the Earth's crust if she really just had to, clashing with such a powerful being like this. I mean, we've seen her clash with a being that can blast a big chunk of the Earth's crust, or one could say a continent if they wanted to apart, or split under it at least. Tatsumaki has to be able to do similar to this kind of raw power output. Based on feats like this, her clashing with a being that can do this, if Tatsumaki wanted to, she could blast apart half the moon or something, or do severe damage to the moon, at least. We've not only seen Tatsumaki damage her badly, but despite this superpowered being being able to split continents, guess what? Tatsumaki was able to break apart her blast with her own blast, pretty much nullified it with her own blast power. One could say nullified or redirected her blast. Not only did she nullify that blast, with her own blast, she started distorting Z City itself. They said it's probably a glitch. No, it's not. The city itself is actually being twisted up by her raw power output, messing her up. But we get to kind of see her limitations because doing all of this did put a strain on her as she spits up blood. So we get to see that this is pretty much her limit. She not only twisted the city up, messed up this fusion dragon level threat, but she messed it up on a cellular level. What do you guys think though? Before I get going, do you guys think she could cause moon destructive type of blast power with her telekinetic blast based on this opponent that she fought? That's a super duper psionic, top of the food chain monster organization being. She has to be way faster than the speed of sound to be able to react to the speed of sound sonic being. That's at least faster than sound. She can react to his attacks like it's really no big deal. A being that can make multiple after images with speed. Even if you believe she couldn't slice apart or blast apart our moon, what about some smaller moons that are not necessarily Earth-sized moons? She could possibly blast apart, especially these super duper small moons. The opponent she faced can slice apart a decent chunk of the Earth. I think it's a no-brainer she could blast apart islands at this point in the vid. Lift them up with her psionic ability, crush it, and do not touch her sister. She will blank on you. But before I get going, thanks for the donations, everybody. Helps out a lot. Respect her. Telekinetic power. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.